This is David with the Paranormal-Activity podcast. This past week, there's been a lot of activity. The first thing that happened, and this was about 6 days ago, I get woken up about 3:30 in the morning. Of course, I know it's evil is moving around, and I look up at the ceiling and I'm looking for the yellowish white light from the Holy Spirit, and then with the evil, like putting clamps around it. Well, instead of seeing the like this hand, with around the white, yellowish white light, it's this huge head in its place, and the head had to be probably wide, probably about 10 feet across, and then the height was probably 15 feet, but it's a giant head. And of course I know that's evil when I see it, but then it shows these like really bright red eyes, which were kind of creepy there for a minute. But I've seen so many things, so I get up and go, I might as well get me some water. So I'm going to get a bathroom, get a drink of water, go back to bed, because I've seen so many things so many times. So about 2 days later, I wake up around 3:30, and now I see a female's head, except that doesn't have the red eyes. It's just the shape of a female's head looking at me, and I guess that was supposed to intimidate me. Well, of course, I just turned over and went right back to bed. I figured, that's gonna be the end of that. So a few days later, in my other room, and I sit on the bed, check everything's fine with the fish in my 2 small aquariums I have up on the dresser. So as soon as I sit down, I start feeling the weights of the deceased children. Well, now there's 8, which was really surprising that there was 8 of them. And I thought, well, I remember the 7th one, but the 8th one kind of seemed like maybe they might have got up or sat back down. So I can't say conclusively there's 8 more deceased children, but there's at least 7 for sure, which I didn't think that, have that many. And I thought, well, maybe there is 8, but I'm not for sure. Well, the next night, I get in bed and I feel the bed move just a little bit, like someone's kind of jerking on the bed, and that's got to be one of the deceased children. They only did it, I think, 2 or 3 times, almost kind of like little kids would do, because they're probably 5, 6, 7 years old, whatever. And they're like teasing me. They weren't trying to be mean, so I knew it was an evil. But they jerked the bed like twice. No, it was 3 times they jerked it, but just barely. I could, barely feel the bed move. But then I knew it was, the deceased children. Well, then the next night, it started rocking a little bit, but you could tell it's from someone that doesn't have much strength, because the bed would move just a little bit up and down. I mean, not like me bouncing up and down, but it was those children again. And the surprising part is that, the evil was still up on the ceiling, but of course it had gone back to the pinchers. And I started thinking about that why would they come out when there's evil there? And my best guess is that they know that evil's like trying to come at me, and they could care less what the deceased children are doing. And I think that's why they can come out at times like that, because I'm sure on some level they understand about good and evil, and who's being attacked and who's not. So when they're attacking me, I'm sure the children probably figure, it's kind of like we're free to do what we want because no one's going to come after them. They're coming after me, which is fine with me. I mean, I don't have any problems with that. So the next day, I'm in this room, and I was going to record a video, but I was kind of tired. It's been a long day, so I thought I'll just go ahead and skip it. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I see something standing there and just right when I'm starting to turn my head, it disappears. And I knew it was green, but then the more I thought of, or something was in green, but the more I start thinking about it, I remember I could almost see like different colors of the green, and it was like someone was wearing like a military outfit, but like with camouflage. And so I don't know if it was like a deceased soldier, or maybe someone was, in a war, back in World War II or whatever, and, like they're trying to find their way to cross over. But that was, uh, it was good that they did that, but I wish I could have seen more of them, but it happened so quick. But I remember seeing green, and when I started thinking about it, I go, no, it's not all green, those are like different colors. And then it kind of popped in my head, I go, they were wearing, some kind of camouflage outfit, so I assumed they were in, some war or battle or whatever, and they're deceased, and that they're finding me to help cross over, which if I can help them cross over, that's great. So that was a good thing to see. I mean, usually when I see someone standing next to me, it's usually evil. Well, actually, I think all the other times, this is the first time that it wasn't evil, which was a nice change. But I was surprised about how much activity had been going on, between, the giant head, a male head, with the red eyes, and then the female, she didn't have the red eyes, but then, she had a giant head just like about as big as his. And then the children, that I'm, like I said, I'm positive there's at least 7, but possibly 8. And then this camouflage, and that's quite a bit of activity in just 1 week. I mean, usually I'll have something, like one big thing, and then that's it. But this was just like a series of things. And so that's why I keep leaning towards, I think there's going to be opening of a portal someday. I just wish I could say it's going to be like this week, next month, whatever. But it's going to happen with all this activity. And, and then I had this one vision, and I was going to try to explain what it is, but it was so odd. I don't even really know what I saw, which sounds kind of odd to say, so to speak, because it was a vision, but it was all these blurry things, and I couldn't make out anybody's face or whatever. So I have no idea what that is. I've never had that happen my whole life. So I don't know if it's like someone like crossing over, and it, it's not happening or something. I'm just, grasping at straws. But I never saw anything like this before. It was just like something distorted, and I really couldn't make out anything. I don't know if it was a man or woman, child, adult, whatever. But that was really strange, and I couldn't figure out. And I kept trying to go back and think. Sometimes if I sit down and concentrate, get some of the pieces back together, but I couldn't get anything. I had no idea what I saw, and I've never had that happen before. So hopefully it never happens again. But I thinking about it over the last couple of months, the visions are starting to pick up more and more. Because for a while I was going like 2 or 3 months without even one vision. And I remember when the vision started picking up, that was getting close to when, there would be a portal there. But, I could be wrong. But everything like this is happening more on a regular basis. So hopefully I'll have a portal soon. If not, well, I'll just have to be patient. But I appreciate everyone watching. Thanks.